Varla's new entry-level scooter, the Varla Wasp, is here, and I figured I would give you guys a look into what it's like to open this up, since this will be a lot of people's first scooter, as it is an entry-level scooter. I think it's $600. So I'm just going to quickly give you an idea of what it's like to receive the package and open it up, and then we'll jump on it and I'll give you my review. So obviously this is going to be a nice small compact scooter, kind of what you expect at the price. Oh nice, okay. That just folds up and locks. It looks like we just have some handlebars to install, so let's do that. So the only thing I had to do to set it up was these two bolts right here. Set up the handlebars and then you're good to go. So just quickly a look at what you get with the scooter. You get your owner's manual, you get your charger, you get a pump like extender. So that tells me that these are pneumatic tires. I was curious if they were gonna go solid or pneumatic. You got your tool and then bolts plus an extra one here in case you need it. So yeah, that's it. Super straightforward, but kind of everything you would want. So I don't know how well it comes across on camera, but this is a very small scooter. Like, it's not very tall. The handlebars are really, really low. It's really like short, and the platform, there's not a ton of platform space. So like, as far as I understand, it is supposed to be an adult scooter, but it definitely has a very like kid scooter feel to it. So I'm curious how on longer rides that's going to feel, and if it's going to feel just like way too small to reasonably use if you're taller. I'm 6'1", so I'm a little bit on the taller side. So if you're similar to my height, you can kind of make a decision on whether or not this is a good choice for you. Before I take off on this, let's do a quick look at the handlebar section itself. You've got the power button here, which is kind of an unusual spot. This is normally where the headlight button is. And then you actually have turn signals on here. And then you have your horn, thumb throttle. It's not zero start, but that's not really expected. And then the display is actually really nice and bright. Looks like you just get speed, odometer, battery, and then I think that's supposed to be the light button, but I'm actually not sure. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, that's the mode button. Okay, sweet. You kind of hold it down. Another interesting thing is that it has turn signals. That's like really rare to see on a scooter at this price. But then they also have like the bar ends that light up. They're literally not visible at all during the day, but maybe if you're riding at night, that's something that is useful for you. You get one brake lever here. Oh look, and it lights up when you're braking. That's kind of cool. And so you get one disc brake in the back, and then presumably you get regen braking in the front. But I'll test that when I jump on it. The other unique feature that stands out to me is you saw in the unboxing how it unfolds, how it pivots right here, rather than just the stem folding down. Okay, so I am officially going to take it for its first ride. I have it in the highest speed mode. I'm also going to be tracking my range on this. I charged it all the way to full before I took it out, so this will also be kind of a range test too, and I'll give you the results at the end. I'm really curious to see if this is going to be able to do 10 miles. I'm kind of expecting somewhere in that range, 8 to 10 miles in the highest speed mode. And if it does better than that, then I'll be really impressed. So, take it off. Okay. Yeah, it's not slow. It's about what you expect at the price. I've actually been riding a number of scooters right around this price lately, since I'm reviewing some other ones from like Turbo Ant and Go Tracks, and I obviously reviewed the KQi2 from Niu. So I think it has a single, well, it's for sure single motor. I think it's 350 watt front motor. And it feels about like what it says. As I predicted, it does, like, actually getting on it feels very low and very small. My feet are quite close together, but at the same time, it doesn't feel, how do I put it, like overly small, right? Like I'm like, okay, if I needed to go a few miles as a last minute commute and I wanted something really small and light, like this would get that done. Like I live on the first floor and I had to carry this down, and it was like almost comically light, like how easy it was to just like pick it up by the handlebars and like walk it down the steps. I know that's definitely like a priority for some people. For me, it's not as much a priority because it's only one flight of stairs I have to do, and most of my scooters and bikes are in a storage unit, and I don't really care too much about how heavy they are or how big they are. But for someone that like has a priority on that, this is like, it's a very small and very light scooter. It also makes me wonder if they did that intentionally, because I think buying scooters around this price for younger kids is a popular thing to do. I have had multiple relatives reach out to me and say, hey, what scooters would you recommend at this price point for my kids? And so far, this one seems to be a really good candidate for that. As far as being a really good adult scooter, so far it's kind of hard to definitively say. My mind is naturally going to compare this to the Niu KQi2 Pro, which at as low as $450 is just like, I think it's gonna be a long time before anything comes close to that for an adult electric scooter at this price. Let's see, it says we're doing 15, so that must mean that this is capped at 15.5 miles an hour, which is again about what you expect. The Turboant X7, the Pro and the Max, I think both do 18.5 miles an hour, as well as the GoTrax models. I think it's the G3 and the G4 that are around this price. So speed-wise, it's about what you expect. Stability-wise, it actually feels pretty good. I think it has a tiny bit of suspension, rear suspension, but like with the Highboy S2 Pro, that has some rear suspension. It's the same thing where it's like, how much do you really feel it? It feels more like they put it on there just as like a marketing bullet point to be like, oh, it has rear suspension. I think if you're going to put suspension on just a single spot, like on a single wheel, it should be in the front. I think that does way more for scooter ride comfort than suspension in the rear. One upside of it being kind of a smaller scooter is it does feel really nimble. It's so light and small that like darting around feels really, really good. This would be a good option for if on your commute you maybe need to use a section of sidewalk because there's no bike lane and you need to go nice and slow with other pedestrians or whatever. So like I said earlier, it does have pneumatic tires, but I don't know. I mean, when you're going these speeds and with a scooter this small, like the difference between solid and pneumatic tires is so, I don't know, inconsequential. Like it's not like putting pneumatic tires magically makes this like a super cushy, smooth ride. Like at this price and at this size, like you expect the ride to be a little, you expect the ride to be a little rough. And obviously it is. Like maybe there's some small advantage on like small gravel like this, but I did check and it has solid rims. There's no split rim on this, which means that if you get a flat tire, which I assume they're tubed, I'll check that, I'll put it up on the screen now if I'm wrong, but I assume they're tubed, and I say it every single time, but if you've never had to change a tubed tire flat on a solid rim, like on an entry-level scooter like this, you'll never want to do it again. You never want to do it in the first place. And I'm a little surprised that they didn't go solid tire, because like, I feel like Varla has been really in tune with the pulse of what people want. Like when they went from, like they released the Eagle 1, obviously, and that was manufactured by Titan, so that wasn't their own design. But then the Pegasus was their own design, and right out of the gates they went with solid tires. And I think that was from feedback from customers that wanted something that was like a reliable commuter, dual motor commuter, but that you didn't have to worry about flats. So I'm a little surprised that they didn't go with solid tires. Because for me, if I'm spending $600 like that's or less, that's very much entry level. Like that's like, I just want to get a taste of scooters. And I think you want it to be as low maintenance and simple as possible. You want it to be something that you don't have to think about. Like it sits in the corner, the times you need to use it, you grab it because it's nice and light and small and easy to use. You don't have to worry about flats or anything like that. And that's why I'm so adamant about this level of scooter having solid tires. If you get a flat, the average person is, the scooter's just gonna end up sitting there unless you absolutely rely upon it. But most of the time, it's just going to sit in the corner with a flat tire, especially if you buy this for a kid, right? Like if you get a flat tire, the kid is not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and change that flat. It's gonna have to be the parents that are gonna do it, and it's going to be low priority. And so the best advice I have is that if you do go with this, is make sure you keep the tire pressure really high. That's a really simple thing you can do to help prevent flats. It'll help prevent pinch flats and also to a certain extent puncture flats. And then obviously be aware of where you're riding. But focusing back up on the general feel of the scooter, like I actually don't have as much of a problem with it as I thought. Like I said, the smaller size is not as much of an issue as I thought it would be. Like 15 miles an hour, you're not even really worrying about like having like taller handlebars. I think if once you start getting up towards 20 or 25, then the lower handlebars start to make it start to be a problem. I don't think there's anything wrong with this scooter as maybe a high schooler or a middle schooler that wants to ride to school, or maybe a college student that needs something that can fold up really small and light and they can take on campus, and they don't have to they don't have a really long ride to campus. But and the other thing is that because this is only single motor, you're going to have issues with how well it climbs hills. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I've always been, I've just been really adamant about like, if you want something that can do everything you need to do for a commute or recreational ride, you should go something dual motor. So if you're shopping around and you have a really strict budget, I think this is a decent one to consider, but otherwise you should start looking at closer to $1,000 scooters. Like Varla has the Varla Pegasus, which is like $1,200, and you get a ton of performance and dual motors and solid tire options, and it's going to be something that's going to last longer, you're going to have more fun with. Like this is very much just like entry level, bare minimum, strict budget type scooter. I'm gonna take a break up here and I'll do a folding demonstration and show you how light this thing is and talk about any other features that I missed. I'm gonna do a couple quick braking tests here. Let me get it up to 15 miles an hour. Okay, 15 and brake. That was maybe about 15 feet. So to fold this up, it's actually really easy. There's a pin over here. I'll show a close-up of it. You just pull on that, and then you can just put your foot right here and push down, and it'll fold down. So it's just kind of like this. Boom. And then it clicks in down here. Boom. Easy. And then to undo it, you just press down on the fender, pop it up, and then when you're folding it up, you need to make sure you pull that same pin out so it doesn't get stuck on it, and then you can let the safety pin back in, and you're good. Nice and solid. Also, as I said, it's like super light. I don't know the exact specs on it. I think it's like less than 30 pounds, if not around 30 pounds. And I mean, it's like almost comically light. All the weight is even up here. Back here is like next to zero weight. So we're 8 miles in, last battery bar. So I figured it'd be a good time to give kind of my conclusion, you know, my general thoughts. And I think I've kind of got my point across pretty well. But this is a solid $600 scooter that does exactly what it promises. You know, you spending less than $600, there's a certain level of expectations you need to have, and this delivers on those expectations. I don't think it necessarily delivers above expectations or anything crazy unique, but I think it does a good job of giving exactly what you want. And for the people that will be able to get the most use out of this as a last mile commuter or as a first scooter for a child, this gives you what you want. You'll get your money's worth easily. If you're looking for something to maybe dip your toes into the water and see if you like scooters without a huge amount of commitment, again, this is a good option. And I haven't found any glaring flaws with it. You know, I ride a lot of scooters, like dozens and dozens of scooters. I do have this channel. I work full-time for Electric Scooter Guide, so I'm on scooters constantly every single day. And so it doesn't take a long time for me to get a good idea of if a scooter is good or not. And this it's a solid, small, compact, light little scooter, and you get exactly what you paid for. So if you're considering it, if you like Varla, if you like the ads you saw, if you are, you know, looking for something for a kid, I think this is a great way to go. Okay, so a GPS tracked range of 10.8 miles. So yeah, I mean, that's about what I expected. I actually thought the top end would be like 10 to 12, so it exceeded my expectations actually.